What was it that made Cormier such a great fighter? It's like he had a combination of things, but in your mind, what made him great?
That guy is tough, gritty. He's got a really good fight IQ. He's good at breaking down his punch. He's tough. He's a tough guy.
Before, he was one of the most respected voices in the sport. Before the desk, the commentary, the laughs.
Father, a husband, a legend. DC could stand for double champion, but in this case, it stands for Daniel Cormier.
Daniel Cormier was one of the most dangerous men to ever step into a cage.
Daniel was a 2-division world champion. He's like 5'11". He's not a big guy. He's just such an insane tank of a human being. He dominated. Dominated 2 different divisions. He was a killer.
But if you really look at his career, not just the highlights, but the timing, you start to realize something uncomfortable.
Severe disappointment. Just really disappointed.
He didn't lose because he wasn't good enough. He lost because of when he existed, and who existed at the same time.
I'm a guy that really does love what I do, and I'm a guy that takes it very hard if I am unsuccessful.
Cormier's story doesn't start in MMA. It starts in Olympic-level wrestling. This wasn't a hobby. This was his identity. He represented the United States twice. That alone puts him in a different category. But even before fighting, his life had already been shaped by loss, personal tragedy, setbacks, the things that would have broken most people. In June 2003, Daniel Cormier's 3-month-old daughter, Caden Imrie Cormier, was tragically killed in a car accident in Texas. The incident occurred when a semi-truck struck the back of the vehicle she was in.
Just some guy being irresponsible, not paying attention. The baby's strapped in exactly as she's supposed to be. The guy bangs. She died at the scene. We buried Caden in Killeen, Texas. I just remember her casket being so small. So small. I just remember her in the casket and just not understanding why stuff like that keeps happening.
Using his pain to push him into his purpose. It built him into someone who didn't quit. Whether it was losing out on Olympic gold or now his daughter, most people would have given up, lost their fire. But DC didn't. Because when things start going wrong in his MMA career, he doesn't walk away, and he knows who and what he was fighting for.
My daughter passed in June, or in May of
You had a bigger purpose.
May of 20, yes.
That you didn't know.
Yes. And by August, I wrestled in the World Championships for the first time.
When Cormier transitioned into MMA, he didn't come in slowly. He didn't ease into it. He ran through the heavyweight division of Strikeforce in record time. Using his Olympic-level wrestling, he wasn't just standing and banging. He was absolutely disposing of every man in front of him with highlight reel finish after finish. And before the UFC ever signed him, he had already built something dangerous. Momentum, along with an undefeated record. And a reputation as a problem nobody wanted. After capturing the Strikeforce heavyweight belt from former UFC heavyweight champion Josh Barnett, it wasn't just hype anymore. Cormier came to dominate. Cormier would defend his belt and would add another finish to his perfect record. There was no denying it anymore. The UFC knew they had a serious star on their hands and offered Cormier his shot at the big show. But the question loomed large. Is a 34-year-old Cormier really capable of doing the impossible? When Cormier entered the UFC, he was already elite, but there was a major problem. The heavyweight division had a champion, and that champion was one of his best friends, Cain Velasquez.
I was in the same situation with Cain. I recall being in Dana's office with Lorenzo, renegotiating the contract when I was still up at heavyweight. They asked me about it, and I said I was going to go down to 205. Dana and them did say to me, they said, well, it's good you're going down because you guys are too good to avoid each other.
Cormier refused to fight him, so instead of going straight to the belt after defeating former champion Frank Mir, he moved down to light heavyweight to avoid the inevitable clash. That decision changed everything, because at light heavyweight, there was already someone there, someone in his prime lurking just around the corner, someone no one could beat, Jon Bones Jones.
Jon Jones is the youngest champion in UFC history!
When DC arrived at the light heavyweight division, something had changed. Cormier looked stronger, more explosive, and ready to take on the best. And that, he did.
Jon Jones, no matter where you go, boy, I'm coming!
Tearing through the best competition that the UFC had to offer. And with those wins came the whispers once again. Is he really going to be the one to take out Jones? And when they finally met, It wasn't just about skill. It was personal from the jump.
You know I would absolutely kill you if you ever did something like that,
You
right?
could never kill me.
Oh, I bet you I could.
Then you should try, John. You really should try, John.
No, I would literally kill you if you spit in my face.
Yeah, let's try that, John.
Cormier versus Jones was now set for UFC 182. For both of these men, it wasn't just a fight. It was personal.
There is nothing you can do to stop me from coming at you round after round with the most malicious techniques I know. You will lose this fight, Daniel Cormier. I want you to believe it. Every ounce of training you put in leading up to this fight will be a waste of your life.
Two completely different personalities and a real dislike for each other. Cormier pushed him for 5 rounds, even got the better of him at times. But Jones won, like he always did. And just like that, Cormier's perfect record was gone. But then things got messy. Jones got stripped. Legal issues, suspensions, and suddenly, the belt was open. Cormier would face Anthony "Rumble" Johnson for the undisputed light heavyweight title just 4 months after his loss. And in 3 rounds, Daniel Cormier was finally the light heavyweight champion of the world. But here's the truth. No one says out loud. It didn't feel complete, because everyone knew Jones was still out there. And for the next few years, DC did what he does best, win, beating the best in the division. But even then, it didn't feel complete, because everyone knew, to be the best, you have to beat the best. And Jon Jones already had his eyes on claiming what he felt was his. 2 years later, it was finally time. Cormier and Jones were set for their rematch. And this time, it was even more personal.
Hey, I'm not crying. I'm just sober. For more than 5 months.
Good for you. Good for you, Daniel.
It was time to settle everything. Cormier looked sharp early on, but minutes into the 3rd round, Jones landed a head kick and would knock out DC for the first time in his career. The nightmare happened again. Like in their first meeting, the result gets overturned once again. This time, a no contest. Failed drug test.
Jon Jones tested positive for Turinabol.
But that doesn't erase what happened in the cage. Cormier still felt it, still lived it, and that's what makes this part of his story so complicated. Because even when things go his way, they don't feel like wins. Cormier defends his belt once again, but DC knew he was getting older, and with his former friend in Cain Velasquez now out of the UFC, it was time to go back up to heavyweight for a fresh start, to correct his wrongs and erase Jones from his legacy. And this is where something finally goes right. Cormier would face UFC heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic in what was expected to be one of the biggest clashes in the promotion's history, a chance to make everything right.
When I'm done with this, I will be remembered, and I will be remembered as the greatest fighter to ever step foot. No cheaters included. I will be the greatest of all time.
In less than 30 seconds, Cormier shocked the world and knocked out Stipe cold.
Daniel Cormier is the UFC heavyweight champion. Man, that is history, ladies and gentlemen. You'll never...
For a second, it feels like everything balances out, like all the bad timing, all the setbacks, all the near misses finally led to something complete. Then, reality comes back. At UFC 230, Cormier would face Derek Lewis, but that didn't matter. DC would submit Lewis in just 2 rounds and cemented himself as one of the greatest to ever step into the cage. At this point, the world knew who Daniel Cormier was, but it was time to take on Stipe again. Early in their rematch, it looked like a repeat of their first, with DC winning early and controlling the fight. But as the fight went on, Stipe made some adjustments and would become the second man to knock out Daniel Cormier in the 4th round. It happened again. Dan and Stipe would fight for one final time at UFC 252 during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. No audience, no packed arena, just coaches and team members. It was in that fight that Cormier would lose a unanimous decision, ending his career not with a standing ovation, applause, or send-off, just silence.
That'll be it for me. You know, I've had a long run. It's been great. I mean, I just fought my last fight for a heavyweight championship, and it was a pretty good fight, so.
I want to take this time to thank Daniel Cormier for being my biggest rival and motivator. He has been a model champion, a model husband, a model father, a teammate, leader. Unfortunately, we are opponents, but outside of that, he is a true champion for the rest of his life.
I see it in your eyes, the hesitation.
Here's the part people forget. Even with all of that, Daniel Cormier still became the UFC light heavyweight champion, UFC heavyweight champion, double champion, Hall of Famer. He didn't just survive bad timing, he succeeded anyway. But of those things, there will always be one question, one person lurking around that will forever leave a stain on DC's record: Jon Jones. Daniel Cormier's career isn't perfect, it's not clean, it's not undefeated, but it might be one of the most impressive careers in MMA history because he did everything right and still had to deal with everything going wrong, from personal to professional losses. And that's why his story feels the way it does. Not like a fairy tale, not like domination, but like a man who climbed all the way to the top while carrying weight nobody else had to carry.